Welcome to another episode of Behind the Now. Today I get to chat with the extremely talented and incredible human and actor, Bourke Floyd. You've seen Bourke in everything over his career, from Dawson's Creek, Big Mama's House, Station 19, Babylon, The Cleaning Lady, The Locksmith, and so many others. Listen in to feel Bourke's contagious passion for acting and storytelling, as well as so much wisdom from working on the top TV shows and films. Hey, Bourke, thank you so much for doing this with me today. I'm so excited to talk with you. You are really amazing, all the work you've done.
Gosh, hey, Jenna, it's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm humbled by that. I'm very, very fortunate. Yeah, I recognize that I have been very blessed to get to do what I love and actually get paid for it, which is the craziest thing. It's so cool. So thank you so much for having me. I actually love your show.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. I love hearing that. Very cool. Okay, so first, how did you get into acting at all? Because you've been doing it for a long time as a teenager, correct? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but how did that start?
Yeah, it's really, really crazy. I try to tell people that I Forrest Gumped my way through life. That's like the expression that I use for it. Because, and it's really pretty accurate. I was in high school in Richmond, Virginia, and I'd been performing already. I'd been performing kind of naturally already as well, like putting on the show wherever I was. But I, in church and stuff like that, was performing too. And then my freshman year of high school, I was walking down the hallway to my seventh period on the first day of school. And it was a study hall because I played football. And all of us had a study hall in seventh period, like set up for you as the guidance counselors did. And as I was walking into the classroom where my study hall was, there was just shared door jam, another door into a different classroom. And like the prettiest girl I'd ever seen was walking into that classroom. And I was like, this is just study hall. Whatever that is looks pretty cool. Yeah. And I went in and it was drama 1. And I like amazing. Really, they made us, as a part of being in the drama, as a part of your grade, you had to work on the fall play and the spring musical. And with football, I couldn't do the fall play like as an actor, but I helped build the sets. And I think, actually, you know what? I think I was I remember the show and everything now. It was, I wasn't in it, and it was all new to me too. So like, it was like crazy to me, but that it was David and Lisa was the name of the show. And I was the quick change guy for David. I built the sets too. Yeah. But Saturday and Sunday, I was David's quick change guy because I couldn't be there Friday because of the game. And he had like one change, and it wasn't a quick change.
It was like hectic, chaotic, and you're
and I'm like working through it in my brain, talking with you right now, Jenna, like in therapy, like, why was I his quick change guy in a straight drama with no quick changes? I think they're just trying to find something and being that guy, they put me in like this little like dressing closet on the side, backstage. And I like remember that he like basically he wasn't smoking, but it was just sort of like, well, like it was such a quick change that this was the guy. He was a senior, and I thought he was so cool. But he was basically yeah, are we ready to do this thing? Or, you know what I mean? And I'm like, and the whole time I'm just standing there with the shirt waiting.
Like, ready? Yeah. And also if he's a senior, that's like a big difference at that time. He was probably way cooler.
He didn't need my help. They were like, where are we going to put that dumb kid that's got to be here Saturday and Sunday? Like, you can't break anything. Like, stick him over there stick him over there where Dale changes clothes. It's like, yeah, but Dale only does it once at intermission. They're like, yeah, he'll be fine. Just tell him he'll wait. And I just stood there the whole show.
Yeah, that's so funny. That reminds me.
Oh, go.
I was when I was young, very young, I was in the Wizard of Oz, and I had like a bunch of little parts. Like I was a munchkin and like a flying monkey. But one of the things they had me do, because I was like half the height of everyone else, I was like a lot younger for some reason in this show.
Sure.
was that when the Wicked Witch melts, she was like a much taller girl. So she's like melting, and I was like her mid melt. So she would like melt, kind of go off stage, and then I ran on stage because I was like, she melted, like she's melting. And so I was like half the height. And I remember that was a quick change. And all of these ladies like all of these ladies are like throwing on green paint on my face. I remember it being like so chaotic, like green paint, a black wig, like the black outfit, everything. And then another thing to this is that, and another part to this.
I'm sorry, that just brought me so much joy thinking about that. Like that just, for whatever reason, that just strikes me as that brought me so much joy. Thank you. I'm crying thinking about it.
Imagine saying like, "Oh, I'm the witch" when she's like melting. Yeah. But I remember I was in the like a mom and her daughter saw me in the bathroom, and I think I must have been wearing the witch thing. And they said, and I remember the mom told me that like her daughter was so freaked out by the melting thing. And like, and I was like, oh my God, magic.
Right? No, but right? Yeah. Like that's the dopest part of it. That's the dopest part of what we do. That's like the silliest.
Oh my God. I remember I was shocked that she was shocked. I was like, it's literally just like another girl.
Hold on, let me find the regular size girl real quick. I'll be right back. We'll do it for you right here in the bathroom.
Special effects guy.
Yeah. I mean, but that's like the beauty of that's the beauty of acting and like being a part of it, right? Is that you can you can really move people. Like it's the craziest thing, but like, it's so rad when you get to be a part of it. I actually, one of the first shows I ever did that I was ever paid for, one of my first paying gigs was The Wizard of Oz. I played the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz at Virginia, Virginia Repertory Theater. I was in high school, and I was still in high school, and like I'd done all these commercials already, and like national commercials and stuff, but like for Heilig Myers and a Ford commercial and a couple of other things, but like there was something about I didn't yet really have a full understanding of how I had no understanding of how fortunate I was to have booked those commercials. First of all, like I had no idea the odds. And I just, again, that's I Forrest Gumped my way, right?
Yeah.
But like I also, it wasn't as tangible a thing, because I wasn't really in my mind. I wasn't really creating anything there, and I say this without judgment on it. I say it without judgment on it. But I'm saying like I was hired as a straightforward, direct A to A, apple to apple commercial actor, right? Which is go play yourself. I mean, you had Leslie Wolf on recently on your show, right? Yeah. So like Leslie, not only is she hilarious and an amazing performer herself and a great coach, she's also a phenomenal casting director, and she casts a lot of commercials. And so she would be better at describing what I'm trying to say. But because she just, because it's what she does. She's able to see it and go, that's
but
it.
I know exactly
this one, right?
Yeah. But you get it. I know what you mean. Yeah, for sure. You're saying like, you basically booked a whole bunch of roles that were easily like, you didn't have to do work for because it was just you, like as you are.
Yeah. I was like, show up like me and say these 3 words and then get in the car. Okay. I'll ride the roller coaster, say these few words and get in. Right. Oh, so rad. So cool. Blew my mind. And then to get paid for it and all of that. Like, oh gosh. I mean, I say it without judgment at all. It's just funny when you're a kid, you don't see the bigger picture. And like, there was nobody there to tell me the bigger picture. So when I finally got the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, and was like, I have to memorize these lines. I have to kind of like
Oh, I see.
figure out who this person is and like do these things. It was a different, and there's the theater. I've driven past it. I've ridden in cars past it. I've seen shows at it, with that huge awning. It was like it was a blow my mind. It was deeper work. Yeah. And, and really, even the Scarecrow, oddly, right. Just to, to play,
sure,
if I only had a brain, it was still deep. Was that typecast for, have you noticed there's a theme going that I'm only just now picking up with you, Jenna? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I won't dig too deep at that. But so that kind of thing though, and that's really, that was when I also really fell in love with the idea of like figuring the stuff, like working it, and like developing it. And
amazing.
The discovery of the craft of it, like what's a character that you've had? What's something that you've worked on that's like hit you like a ton, like that? What's like a light bulb moment you've had?
Yeah. So one that immediately comes to mind is the role of Catherine in a play called Proof by David Auburn. Incredible. Yeah. Yeah, that's an incredible play. And there's oh my God. Yeah. And beautifully written, like so rich, every single, that's like,
you take incredible. It all apart. Yeah.
That one that I love. It's just like, yeah. I mean, that's the one that first comes to mind,
That's it. Yeah. I mean, right. Like, and like then from there you find these.
It's like like the freedom and the messiness within like so much that's not like just messy. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. Yes. No. Yeah. The opportunity to be clumsy in the art of it and like to like fumble around in front of an audience, fumble around physically, emotionally, all of it. You're fumbling, you're feeling around in front of an audience on these things, on this journey through this one individual who's one part of one broader story that you're helping tell. It's like, and like as silly as it sounds to say about something as simple as the Scarecrow and the Wizard of Oz, it was, for example, if I had stepped into like Proof, it would have been so far above what I would have been capable of comprehending, finding. It would have terrified me. I would have been a deer in the headlights reciting things, right? The Scarecrow is a perfect here, man, let's work this a little bit, because you realize these things of like as silly as it sounds, like this empathy that he has, the epiphany that I had, which is super, super elementary from a craft standpoint. But this epiphany that came to me was the empathy that the Scarecrow had for the Tin Man upon meeting him. Like how he there's and it's actually it's funny because you go back and you watch the movie, you watch Ray Bolger, you watch the movie, and Bolger's doing it. He's like, if you're so cued in on the Tin Man and you're so cued in on Dorothy and their exchange, but as the Tin Man's explaining to Dorothy that he doesn't have a heart, and the Scarecrow's there and he's explaining it, and, you're watching this exchange. If you actually watch Ray Bolger's Scarecrow, he's like delving, really pouring buckets of heart on the Tin Man. He can't believe he doesn't have a heart, and it hurts him so deeply.
And like the understanding of that too, because he doesn't have a brain. Like it's basically all universal, and
it's thematically universal. There's so much, and as an actor at that age, to like see it and be like, oh, there are these moments, right? Like, because the rest of the time I'm literally fumbling around the stage and
I know the choreography's that way,
right, and like, but it's the cool thing is that if it's there, because it's not always there, but when it is there, like you can find these little nuggets of moments that you can have as an actor. in like sometimes in roles you didn't ever imagine they would be there
Yes.
for. And
Yeah.
that's where you like fill out the role,
Yeah. And
where it's like,
sometimes it's like, yeah. And sometimes it's like that, like a specific moment or like a specific realization that's like the hook to like everything else, like the key to like, oh, and then it's like, that's it, like it's your way in.
whoa, yes,
Yeah.
this is how it got from here to there to here to there to there. It all ties through this one. Yep. And it's so
And it's always
trippy when you
something very
find it doing the work.
simple, I find. Too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something because it's like so fundamental. It's so human. It's so universal, these like things, Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I love it.
And it's that moment that might not be specific on the page, but is specific in your creation of that character as presented on the page, and I wonder that'd be funny to go back and to talk to certain writers where you as the actor have found that moment and go, hey, out of curiosity, was that when you, like what, you know what I mean? And I've never done that, but like,
to the writer, like, was that intentional?
Curious. Was that, did you have that too? Or did you put that in there? And that like this little Easter egg that I got to unpack because I didn't read it. I didn't see it the first 3 times I worked it, or 100 times I worked it. You never know. I mean, so yeah, it's really cool.
Have you had a chance?
So go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Have you ever had like that kind of conversation with the writer before about like? I'm sure you have, but is there anything that stands out in your memory?
That specific question. So I did this movie Placebo, and Keith Fahan wrote it. Yeah, Placebo. Yeah, it was an indie, but it was Anomaly Pictures, and it got picked up in like it was 2007, I think, that we got released. That it was released, and we we won Newport Beach Film Festival and stuff like that. Like it did
amazing.
really well.
Yeah.
And, and then it actually didn't get distributed because of one of those like legal things that sometimes happen. You know what I mean? But like we really we did really. Yeah. And I think there was like maybe some sort of divorce or something, you know what I mean? So now I don't want to like speak too much about it because I'm not 100% clear, right? But it was like a weird thing. My friend Grant Harvey, who's like my kid brother, and he's a genius actor. He's in Emancipation on Apple Plus, and he was on Animal Kingdom on TBS and everything. Like he's just this kid just kills it. He was like 19, I think, at the time, and I brought him to the Newport Beach Film Festival to see Placebo with me. He was like my plus one, and just the two of us because I was nervous. I wasn't sure how it was going to be perceived, and it did really well. And to this day he still talks about it. It's pretty cool. But it was a great movie, genius film, and the writer Keith Fahan, I got to talk to him about my character Will, who goes through all these ups and downs. And like work it through with him. And I think one of the coolest parts of the conversation that I got to have with him was about have you ever had somebody say to you who you're really mad at? Has anybody ever said that to you? Who are you really mad at?
Who are you really mad at?
Who are you really mad at? Like as a human being, Jenna, have you ever had anybody say that to you? Like I had somebody in my family, when I was growing up, not like a relative family, but like in the circle of people around me. I grew up in a group home. So I had somebody that would go like, I see you're upset, and I see that you right now think it's aimed at that person.
Directed, yeah.
Yeah. Who are you really mad at? Because you wouldn't be this mad over that. So who are you really mad at? And like usually you would work it through and you'd figure out that somewhere along the lines of probably yourself a little bit, right?
Yeah,
But I asked Keith, like, who's he really mad at? And watching Keith have to work through and working it through with him, that question to get it all the way back to where it all tags in was like crazy.
Yeah,
because
that
I
is
knew
incredible.
Will, I knew my character so well, and we ended up our math. You know when they say show your work in math, we showed our work differently. I know what you're saying. You're right, but the answer was the same, and it was trippy. Yeah. It was really cool that my work went through all these other things that got me there, and his work went through all these other things different and got him there too. And it was totally not a character in the film. It was a character that gets referenced in the film, but not in the film. And it was the trippiest. It was really cool to be like, wow. So I've been tugging at the right thread then.
Yeah. And that's a brilliant
you have to be careful
analogy.
about having those conversations. Thanks. Yeah. But you have to be careful about having those conversations during what point of the process you're having conversations like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you don't want to be, I have to be careful doing it, I guess I should say, right? Because everybody's process is different. So those answers may help another actor deliver the honesty, the intention brilliantly. So like, I'm certainly not prepared to give a master class, frankly, on anything, let alone acting, right? But in my process, having too many of those answers, finding too many of those answers through conversation with somebody like the writer,
right,
would show me too much of that work that he used to get there. And I need it to be my work. I need it to be the math that I had to do to get to that answer kind of thing, to flush it out so that it works organically on the camera. So I'm not like forcing, trying to force the same answer. And so for me personally,
that is such a
but it was amazing because we had it after we had wrapped up all the hard stuff. We had a couple of pickup shots and stuff like that, and we were like waiting. One of those like right on when you're doing pickup shots when like an independent film has made its days, which never ever happens, but when like they're enough on schedule that like your pickup shots, you're sitting around waiting for the sun to come down, and that's what we were doing. I remember that we were waiting for the light to match. And we were all set up. It was the only shot we had that day. And so I just talked to him I had like 2 lines to give. And when I went up to do the whole 2 lines, because we just had this deep conversation about it, when I got up there to do the whole 2 lines, all my head was going through was like, oh man, every moment that we had ever shot of this thing, it was awesome. It was really cool. But so I think digging in with the writer is a great thing, right? But like, a lot of the times the writers aren't your director. A lot of the times you weren't even on this movie I just did. The movie The Locksmith just came out, and most of the writing team, Joe Russo, a couple of great guys, amazingly accomplished writers. I met them at the premiere, and it was cool. But I would have never seen them on set to ask these questions. So,
you don't have that chance. Like the writers are like the first, like their job's done and it's like in different hands normally.
Yeah. And it's entrusted. They're entrusting it to different hands too, So like,
right, exactly.
Normally. And and so
every role
that's
actually
kind of
is doing that. Like every role has their time, and then you said something so beautiful, which was like how you wouldn't, for you, like in your process, you wouldn't necessarily want those answers when you're working on it, and it's such a good reminder because even like when we get auditions sometimes, or like you're trying to like figure stuff out, like like you want to, like there's some stuff you really just like, there's like technical stuff to know, sure, but then there's other stuff that you like, you have it like in a vacuum sometimes, like 3 pages or 10 whatever in a vacuum, and like even sometimes the frustration of like wanting to know certain things. And then I love what you just said though, of like realizing that the way that you come to know it, like in you, like really know it inside, is more valuable. Like that experience creates more value than just sometimes than just knowing it, unless it's like a thing like, who is this person? like who am I talking to? but I mean like with the deeper stuff, like that's so true.
Thanks. Yeah. And it is true. Thank you for, gosh, you're so much more eloquent than I am. I would like to actually, may I just type you my answers and then you edit and then I say them? They certainly would be more concise. No, I think, listen, in the audition process, especially these days too, where you might not be in the room to get a redirect, or any other direction than what's on the page. A lot of it is for auditions, especially, you got to let yourself off the hook as an actor. You really have to like, you have to decide that you're not in this, especially in the first audition, earliest portions of these audition process. And I don't mean to throw it away. I don't mean to disregard it or save it for last minute or minimize it. Pat yourself on the back that you got an audition, first of all, and celebrate that win. But don't go into that process generally, because everything could be different these days, especially. But don't go into that process thinking that casting, the director, production, the studio, the network is expecting any sort of finished product from you where all of those answers are there. It's find the nuance in it. Let's say it's dramatic, right? Let's say it's comedic. Find the tone, know the tone. Do your best to know the tone. Do your best to look at what this director or this producer or this writer has done and done recently, perhaps, or know this network does, right? Like, I dress differently. My tone is different. My approach is different when I've got a Lifetime audition than it is when I've got a Hallmark audition. And both of them are the same principal thing. They're home of movie of the week, and they put out some really high-end stuff, and they do it in a really fast pace. Both of those networks do, but they have different tones. And so, like, know that vibe, right? And like, be familiar enough with that that you can do that, and then make a choice and commit to it. Is this guy when it's not on the page? Is this guy, who is this dude? Like, what's going on here? And make that choice and just go with it. Like, don't like lean in. Don't limp into it. Don't limp into it. If you're like, I think he's the jerk. I think he's the jerk, but I want people to like him. I don't want casting not to like me. This is only my first time auditioning. Well, what if he's not? Yeah. And what if I go full jerk and I'm wrong? And they're like, oh, this guy went full jerk and no one likes him. We'll never bring him in again. Mark Bourke Floyd off the list. No, man. Like, they would rather you go in 100% committed in the wrong direction and deliver honesty in the wrong direction, knowing that they gave you 5 pages of a 68, 75 page script, knowing they gave you 5 pages, go that way and like leave a blazing trail behind you, then be like, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it. Like, whoa, what's this guy? Whoa, are we not so? I mean, like, nobody's going to lean in for the person that's like vanilla right up the middle, like, oh, tiptoe the line, like stay in the gray area of this character so that I don't make any choices and can't offend anyone. Don't offend people. You know what I mean, though. I can't be wrong. Yeah. I can't be wrong because I'm not trying to be right. Don't do that. Don't make that mistake. Yeah. And then send it. Feel good about it and send it. Don't beat yourself up over take number 54 of your self-tape.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like, you're driving yourself into the ground over something that they're human beings on the other end of it. And I'll tell you, none more than like the Leslie Wolfs of the world, not to come back again to one of your former guests, but like, God, she's rooting for you. And she's like, my wife, by the way, my wife's a 10. I'm a 4.5 on a good day. Okay, Jenna? Now, let me tell you something. My wife is a solid stop traffic 10. When she agreed to go to dinner with me, I was like, oh, for real? I asked on a dare because I figured you would say no. Okay, yeah, let's do it. It's amazing. I mean, that's how. When I picked my wife up on our first date, we're sitting in the car, we're driving to dinner, and she's like, and so, she wants me to meet some of her friends really quick at the place next door to the restaurant, right? So I'm being vetted. We all know the drill.
You met her friends?
First date. Okay. Well, her friends are at the restaurant they happened to be at the restaurant next door. Now, I picked the restaurant. One of her friends is actually, who I didn't know at the time, I didn't know that he was her friend, is the GM of the restaurant next door. So she was
Oh,
like, let's go
okay.
in here we're a little early for our reservation. Let's go in here. We'll grab a drink. Right. And so I'm meeting and I'm like, oh, wow. And as we're moving from that to our dinner reservation, she looks me dead in the eye and goes, I'm rooting for you. I really am. And I was like, what's
Oh,
that mean? It's like, well, I was like, what's that? What?
that's
There
so
are
cute. That
people
was
that,
just out of
it,
context. Just
yeah, because she was thinking like, man, this guy isn't just some dude that's an actor, who thinks he
okay.
can
Yeah.
show up and be like, you know what I mean? Like this guy actually might be a decent dude. Like this guy actually was
Yeah.
making nice with my friends. This might be something different. Like I'm rooting
Oh,
for you,
that's
man.
so
I actually
cute.
want you to
Yeah.
I want you to keep being a good guy. You might actually not be a bad dude. That's kind of cool. I'm rooting for you. And it was like, cool. Like, and then you get out of your own way when you remember that like casting is rooting for you.
Mm,
Oh, they are rooting for
yeah.
you. None more than the Leslie Wolfs of the world are sitting there like, I want you to be good. They want you to be good. Some of them want you to be good because like Leslie Wolf, they just love you and they support you and they know how hard
Yeah.
it is, right? All of them, even the ones that aren't the same level human, perhaps, as like a Leslie Wolf, right? All of them are rooting for you, even if it's selfish, because if you're the best, they're done. They're like, let's
Yeah. It does their
go. I
job.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, send that guy and those 3 dudes, those 4 go, and just wait for them to come back and tell me which one they love the most because we're the best at our jobs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, who doesn't want to win at your job? So
Yeah.
they really are like rooting for you. And like there's good faith casting in Arizona. They do New Mexico and they do out here in LA. Good faith. Like Bella Hibbs, who like owns Good Faith and is casting director at Good Faith. Like she goes on Instagram every Friday and sits there and
Uh-huh.
like answers so many people's questions. She does like
Oh
an
my God.
Instagram live and like answers
Yeah.
like all these actors' questions and like shares all these open, like, here's an open book. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Oh no, honey. And she's so supportive when she's doing it. Like she's so patient and
Mhm.
kind with these young actors, right? And I mean, I'm on there, so it's not just young actors. I mean, you pick up stuff from it. And like
Yeah.
so many casting directors just want you to do it right. So like just
Yeah.
commit to that and like nail whatever it is to the best you can. Don't beat
Yeah. Like
yourself
do
up
what you
about it.
want to do with it. Yeah.
Do what you want to do with it. If it's not, like you said already, if it's not explicitly right, if it's not here, if there's not enough material here for you to know, just pick and go. But go
Yeah. Yeah.
go hard. Like
Yeah.
go like me. Go think to your mind. Remember that time Bourke Floyd asked out that girl who was so much like so out of his league, and she said yes. They're married now. Think about that.
Yeah.
I do think about that
That's a
actually.
good
Probably
role that you can go back to all the time,
that's what I do. I go back to that all the time. Like,
Yeah.
why would I not give it a shot? Why would I give it a
Yeah.
shot? I asked her out because I thought like I'd be an idiot not to have. I saw Frankie Faison. He's a fantastic, brilliant actor. He's been around for a very long time. He's on the new ABC show, The Rookie Feds.
Oh,
And
yes. Yes.
Frankie was in a movie, the original Coming to America. And he's the landlord in Coming to America. And one of my best friends in the world is a guy named Trevor Pennick. And Trevor is a fantastic actor and a singer. He's platinum band called O-Town from back in the day. They were the first making the band on MTV.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've known Trevor forever. And we have a rule that we have a hard-faced rule. If Coming to America is on TV, if you just happen on it, if you're in a hotel, you're getting ready to go to work, or you're at home and you're supposed to go to something, if Coming to America is on TV, we watch it until it's over, and then we leave.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be late to something if we happen on Coming to America. Like we just have this rule. And Frankie Faison has a line in it that puts me in the ground every time. He's really trashy apartment. Eddie Murphy's character wants a trashy apartment. He wants the real American Queens, living in Queens life. And he opens the door and there's a chalk outline on the floor of a body and a cane and a dog, like a seeing eye dog. And it's a real tight 3 shot. They're all three looking in the doorway, all three of them looking in the doorway. And Frankie Faison takes his cigar and goes, damn shame what they did to that dog. And I, damn shame. And it puts me in the ground every time. And like my friends are like, I mean, it's funny, but why? It's not that. There's just something about it that murders me every time. And I was at the Pasadena Playhouse last Sunday for the opening of Sunday in the Park with George. Great show, by the way. It's a fantastic show. And Frankie Faison was there. And I had to tell him. I didn't make a deal out of it. I said, Matt, I'm sorry, Mr. Faison. My name's Bourke Floyd. May I speak to you for a second? And he very kindly was like, oh, I know you. And I was like, oh, man, so already I'm like, and he might have been lying, but like, I know you. I was like, oh, man, but I spent 30 seconds to tell him how much I love his work and how he delivers my favorite line in one of my favorite movies. And he was like, and I saw him, he's like running through what he remembers of his lines, and I see him, man, like,
God, it's so funny.
What is it? And when I said, damn shame what you did to that dog, and I said it kind of like you, damn shame what they did to that dog, he gave this huge smile and a laugh, and I clapped his hands, he's like, oh, man, hey, all right. And then, and then we went about the rest of our day watching the show. But like, when you see somebody that has delivered something for you, right, that's gifted you that, if it's at an appropriate time, right, if they're not there with their families, I mean, this was a premiere, so there are a bunch of people. We're all saying hello. We're all catching up. A lot of familiar faces talking to you. If it's an appropriate time and you have an opportunity to, man, don't let the fear of like screwing it up get in your way. Like I needed him to know. I was compelled to tell him, man, you have delivered me for 25 years or more, 30 years now, this like joy from this line, from this movie, and specifically from your performance in it and this line. And like, I'm so honored to just get to tell you that. And he, like, as he was walking away, I heard him shaking his hand, telling his friend he was there with, he's like, I watch him, he's shaking his head. He goes, well, isn't that a damn thing? And I was like, isn't that a damn thing? Like, like you're still killing it. You're still killing it, Frankie. I mean, I don't know. So just don't, just go with it. Go with your gut. Go with your instinct. Don't worry about all the answers, especially in an audition. And like, as you move further, casting will inform you.
Yeah,
casting will inform you. The director of production will inform you.
On the other side, you know what I mean? All it takes is a phone call, an email. Hi, can we see it this way? That was wrong. What's the big deal? It's true.
Yeah. It's like, man, like, come on. That's also a reason. Get them in as quick as you can, like without like sacrificing your own, your own personal things, right? Like, get them in as quick as you can. Casting appreciates it, I'm sure. I mean, plenty of them have said they do. So, that also gives them an opportunity to give you a redirect. Yeah, get a redirect, man. Do yourself all the favors in the world. Like being in first or being in last, as long as you're in the window that they provide by deadline. Like, I'm sure that there are things that could be better or worse about that, depending on the casting director, right? But like universally, so I mean, don't worry about not being first. Worry about doing the best you can with it.
Right.
But like, if there's a way you can do the best you can with it in shorter, and get it to them quicker, choose that method so that they can, if there's going to be a redirect, they can give it to you. It's like, they want you to win.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, because I've heard that too, like to get it in as soon as you can, and some are like, it doesn't matter. But like just alone you're right, because if they've allotted a certain amount of time and there's a specific deadline that they've created because they need them by then. So even that alone, like if you're getting it in earlier, you're giving them more flexibility to give you a redirect or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very
I did.
smart.
I
It's so obvious.
auditioned for
Yeah.
even in the room. Even in the room, it's funny how like things can still happen. When we were doing it in the room, I
Mhm.
auditioned for Sunshine in Remember the Titans,
Okay.
and the movie came out a long time ago. Denzel Washington, and I'd gotten a call back, and I'd moved up through all these callbacks, but my original audition for it. And I got kind of, that was one that I got kind of close on. You know, I mean, Kip Purdue did amazingly well with it. I don't mean to make it sound, that was one where I got like little micro wins
Yeah,
along the way.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I moved up the
Mhm.
casting process. But Mark Fincannon of Fincannon and Associates was the person that originally put me on tape for it, because I
Uh-huh.
was in Wilmington, North Carolina, for Dawson's Creek at the time. So he put me on tape for it and was going to have to send it to LA. I mean, that's how long ago it was. Now that I think about it, yeah, I think he was actually going to have to
Oh,
like,
physical tape.
I think he might have physically had to mail it to LA.
Okay. Cool.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so long ago. And I was driving away from Fincannon and Associates, which at the time was at Screen Gems, was at the studio. And I was driving back to where I was living while I was in town working on Dawson's, and he called me. And he was like, and I was like, wow, that's quick to have gotten a call.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day, when you get the EcoCast and you're from that casting director for the thing you submitted already, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you read it and it's like, we're extending your time. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
And then you're like, what
Oh,
does
yeah.
that mean?
Well,
They
yeah.
hated
Oh
them
my
all.
gosh. And then you see it and you're like, what does that mean?
I know,
Um,
right? You're like,
I was
yeah.
driving away and he called me. I remember I had like one of those like old school cell phones, not like the Zach Morris, but like close. And of
Okay.
course I answered, and I was excited. I recognized their number and I answered, and he was like, hey man, the audio didn't work. Is there any way you can come back here and we can lay it
Oh,
down again? There's like a sound, a buzzing in your audio. But like, even then, right? Like, even in the room, he checked it before he sent it, right? And because
mhm.
we had done it, he was able to call me, right? But like, how many times if that, so change it from in the room.
Yeah.
That was a self tape I sent, and you play it back on your end on EcoCast or wherever, and if everything looks and sounds good, but something, it gets lost in the cloud or whatever, or some buzzing gets
Oh
dropped
my,
in on it, right? Like,
yeah.
you can get it. Can you imagine, right? But
Yeah.
like, if you get it to them and they know you, they like you, they asked you to audition in the first
Mhm.
place, they're not wasting your time. Yeah, they get it to them early, and then they can help you fix that too. Like, you just don't know, but they're not.
Yeah. You
But
just don't
if you wait
know.
until deadline, yeah, if you wait until deadline because you're trying to like, I want to sleep on the role and really develop the role for like a lot of these things, like, I mean, I auditioned for a role in Emancipation, and the material, and the callback and all of that, and the material was incredibly heavy, and that's one on the
Mhm.
callback that I worked hard on and hours on and days over time to
Yeah.
develop,
Yeah.
to produce what I submitted finally as my callback, right?
Mhm.
That's different. We're talking about the audition process as a whole. And if you're at step one of it, congratulations,
Right.
you got an
Right.
audition. You got an audition out of like however many thousand people they were looking at. They wanted to see you. Like,
Mhm.
you win, man. Like,
Yeah.
you win already. I'm so proud of people that get auditions. I'm so proud of people that are gutsy enough to submit. I'm so proud of them. So the timeline that again, right? Like, your process for auditioning can be different than anybody. Your process for auditioning could be different than your coach, could be different
Yeah.
than your best
Exactly.
friend, could be different from the people you work with all the time. And that's a part of the beauty of our craft, is like,
Yeah.
it like, there's such a human, um there's such a human aspect to like getting to the performance, that like there are 100 different incredible ways, that
Yeah.
there are an infinite number of ways, because we as
Yeah.
individuals are creating individual performances. And so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I just booked something, and we were in the restaurant. My family and I were we went I took them skiing for the day,
Oh,
because,
cool.
I've been very, very fortunate, right? That my schedule has been awesome and busy, and it's been fantastic. But again, the
Mhm.
balance is important, right? And so, I took we took a day trip. We spent the night, but we, came back the next afternoon, and we were in this restaurant that we always go to where we go skiing. And I got the call that I had booked this
Uh,
thing, and it's for a great role in a great project, and I'd been seen by casting. Um, by this particular casting office and this particular studio a bunch as of late for different stuff.
okay.
And like they keep bringing me back, right? So that you're doing
Yeah.
something right. It's just about it being the right fit. Um,
Hmm.
but it does accrue over time, right? Of like, man, and you still don't think about it. So like subconsciously, I consciously, I intentionally push it out of my way. So
Right.
I don't keep track anymore of how many times this casting director or that
Okay.
studio has seen me. It's not
Yeah.
um, by the number. I keep track of the experience of it,
Yes, yes, yes.
right?
I know what you
And
mean.
the
Yeah.
feedback and the notes and the interaction and stuff, that's different. Like that's different, but I don't go back and count them like it's
Yeah.
notches to be, like
Right,
they
right.
said no this many times. You don't do that. I don't do that. But
Hmm.
you know, but it was like subconsciously built up. So when I
Okay.
found out
Yeah,
that I
yeah, I
booked this
know. This is
one,
yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can't. Oh man, I can't believe it. And I had excused myself from the table to take the call.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
like doing karate chop, kung fu grip in
Yeah.
in the front of this restaurant. And I guess the people in the booth next to my family are talking to my family. My son, he's so quick. God love him. He's so quick to be like, my dad's famous. And like, your dad is definitely not. You know what I mean? But like he dies and my dad dies and everything. He like says, he's like, I love my bear so much.
How old's your son?
But he's 10. He turns 11 in
Okay.
April.
Oh, how cute.
And
Very
Bear is a piece of work, man. Thank God he looks like his mother. But so when I came back, the
uh-huh.
people were informed by my family, that I was an actor and that it was clear that that it was good news, and so they were like,
Yeah.
hey, yeah, oh, thanks. I'm so sorry. I normally don't. I was just so excited.
I normally
They're like, no, it's
yeah.
great. It wasn't, we couldn't, it was really cool to watch. Like we didn't know what it was. And I was like, yeah, and so, well, when they didn't pick, and I basically nutshelled it for them. It was like, I've auditioned for these people a lot. And so
Yeah.
it was great to finally get one, and they're like, yeah, I mean, you can't take it personally when they say no. And I was like, no,
Mhm.
you can't because it's not personal. And I saw his wife, the guy saying that. I'm like, yeah, no, you can't because it's not personal. And I saw the wife like listening to our conversation, and I was like, what? What? She's like, well, I mean, whoever auditions, like they all have the same lines and stuff, right? Like, well, yeah, yeah. And they go, and it's like in Friends, right, where you guys all kind of look alike, right? Yeah, yeah, I guess. And she's like, I mean, I think it'd be pretty hard not to take that personally. I was like, go back to your lunch.
Oh my god,
Go back
so
to your
funny.
lunch. No, I
Yeah.
didn't, but
Oh,
it was
that's
funny that I was like,
hilarious.
no, yeah, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah,
I'm not
right, because
going
she's,
to.
like, eliminating all the factors that makes it and, like, all that's left is personal. That's so funny.
And bless her
It's
heart
cool.
too. She was doing
Yeah.
it out of like she was so happy
Yeah,
for me
yeah.
because she was working it the other way with a guy that had just booked this role, not
Yeah, yeah.
processing. Like she's like doing it
Like
like good for me. Like it's got to be. I mean, you're the
yeah,
only one
yeah.
that booked it, right? But I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, like,
yeah,
congrats, and then you
right. But
yeah, yeah.
I had to be like, yeah, but see,
Oh,
but
it's
that means
so
that the other
funny.
like 10, 12 times I
Yeah.
wasn't right.
That's really hilarious.
I'd rather go
Yeah.
with the it wasn't personal.
That's how do you, oh, that's so funny. That's hilarious. I think I heard you
Yeah.
saying in another interview that for like Dawson's Creek, for instance, you had auditioned maybe 13 times before booking that. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
100%
So
true. I was keeping score
how,
then, right? Like,
yeah, I see. I see. So how do you personally, or like what advice do you have to detach yourself from an outcome? Because I don't know, like you can like sometimes mentally you're like so good and sometimes you're just like in love with it and you like put every, you know what I mean? And you're just like when I find that like when you really, really want it, it's harder to like really let it go. Like it's just hard.
that's right.
Do you have
That's for sure.
any advice, yeah, for that? Or like I don't know, what's your experience been?
Yeah. So listen, right? That there are like 100 different ways to answer that question.
Yeah,
And I think one, I think the main scope of it is this: like, you by design in this industry as an actor know that you will audition more than you book.
right.
A hitter in baseball knows they will not get a hit more than they will. Like, right?
Mm,
Like, just by definition,
right.
that's just how it works for everybody across the board.
Yeah.
And so going into that, that's one part of it first, is not to go into it with the mindset of guaranteed failure,
Yeah.
but but flip it to the honest expectations of success, right? So don't
Right.
focus on the number of no's that you will get, as much as you just
Right.
have that understanding that more no's will come than yeses, right? But then
Yeah.
focus
Yeah.
on where you get yeses in your process, right?
Mm,
Because like
interesting. Yeah.
because it's got to be process over outcome.
Yeah.
That's the best way. That is a universal tenet that if people could practice. The problem is in your process, there are a lot of steps in a process that aren't going to make the gram, right?
Mhm.
Right? That people aren't going to have a
Yeah.
parade for you for getting,
Oh, of course. Yes. Yes.
right? And like, and they
I
don't
see. Yeah.
feel, but like, don't let that be don't let what it is perceived to be define
Define.
what it
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you put forth, when you go to an audition or when you get a self tape, when you've got an invitation to something, when you're
Hmm.
invited to something, like, get out, man. Like, come on. Like, do you know how
Yeah.
many submissions they get for stuff?
Yeah.
They picked you. They picked you.
Right.
They picked you. Like, they believe in you. Like, I believe in it. Tell I am not your competition. I can't be your competition. If I'm your competition, then I'm in the wrong line of work, because I'm rooting for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they picked you. So like, that's like, God, that's so clutch
Right.
when you change your expectation of it, that you got the
Yeah.
audition in the first
Completely.
place as a win, right?
Expectation. Yeah.
And
In
then
fact,
deliver
yeah.
great work,
Yeah.
and make it, you're
Exactly.
going to work. It's your role, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Hey, Jenna,
That's your work. Exactly.
I didn't invite
Yeah.
you to come and tell me what you think this role might be and give me a bid on what you think the role could be. And then I'll read your bid and all these other actors' bids, and then I'll let this one perform it for me based
Mm.
on the notes they gave me on what they want the performance to, what they think the performance. No, man. Somebody just asked you to entertain them, and that's your
Yeah.
job. At least that's what you say you want your job to be, right? You want to be an
Yes.
actor? If
Yeah.
you want to be an actor, guess what? You're an actor. Boom. Nope.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I will high five you every time. You're an actor. Guess what? You were an actor. Yo, you want to be one? So you're watching this podcast. You've never been in a play. You've never been in anything. You're watching this podcast because you know Jenna is an expert and you know Jenna will tell you the truth about what it's like and you want to learn more about it. Congratulations. You're an actor. You're not on your path to becoming an actor. You're an actor. You're investing yourself and your time and your energy into learning about the process so that you can be better at doing what you want to do because you're already an actor. Doesn't mean you're the best actor you're going to be, the most successful you're going to be, but you were an actor. You're trying to process it along the way, right? So, okay, you got an audition. Girl, let me tell you, kid, you're an actor. Congratulations. Act now. They gave you words to say. They gave you words to say, right? Boom, Yahtzee, you're an actor. Hit it, drill it, make it yours. Own, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on your thing, so I won't. Own the living crap out of it. You know what I mean, though? Like, own it. Like, you're an actor, right?
Yeah.
But, like, don't own it like every bit of it is The Godfather.
Yeah.
Right? Like, remember the material. Remember to be honest to the material. Don't look for depths that aren't there. Don't like cheat yourself by like trying to deliver this world profound performance on, you know, how do you take your coffee, right? Like, don't worry about that. Like, you know, like, well, I'm just saying, you know, like co-stars, right? Co-star roles, like I've had co-star. I've had a co-star a couple of times, like when I was first starting out, right? Like that was a bona fide co-star. I've never had quite as simple as how do you take your coffee, but I've had how do you take your coffee as the subtext of the role, right? Yeah. Like just some, only a couple of times, but just some guy here to say these words so that we can keep the scene going because there has to be someone here wherever we are.
Yeah.
I had that, like, I've had that before. And like, you know, just be of service to the audience at that point. Don't try to show what a talented performer, dark performer you can be.
Yeah. You can't pack
be of service to your,
Like, how are you? What's your piece to the story? You know,
right?
But like, I love what you like articulated too about, about like the not defining yourself or getting any type of like worth from anything external going on or anything that like anyone else thinks of you, and you alone and like the work that you do and everything that you do is enough for you to say, I'm an actor, I do this. Cause it's all, cause like regardless, like, cause all of that is investment. That's all like your, like to see all of it as your career, you know? Like auditions I often think of are just, you get material and it's like, cool, I got to rehearse this thing, you know? It's like a rehearsal. It's like it goes both ways, but like everything is everything, but also not to put too much weight. Yeah. Also, like the reality is like they're seeing hundreds or thousands. To them, you're like going to be 2 minutes of their time. Do you think really they're going to like just to sometimes think of it in perspective? Because for you, it might be like 5 days worth of like investing in this thing or whatever it is, like a few days. And then you let it go. But to also realize like these are people going about their day watching like thousands of these. Like sometimes that's nice to realize too, you know? Like, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So like find the moment in it, right? Where you can engage them. Make sure that your eye line, I will say this for a technical end of it, make sure that your eye line is to the camera, not direct at the lens, but but enough, you know, like lens adjacent to your reader. Yeah, so you're not playing the space here, and find that at the beginning of it, man. Let them see who you are at the beginning of it, unless it's like a cool character-y thing to do it otherwise. Like, I had one where the guy is talking, he's an assassin, and he's supposed to be kind of scary, and like I played him down to start. You know, while he's talking to these people, and then he's supposed to find our star and like latch onto the star, and now the star is going to get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You mean literally and down though. You actually mean eye line, right? Yeah.
Eye line down. Okay, yeah. Cool. I played the eye line. I played the eye line, not just to the other side. And now here's my star. So I cross lens to find them, right? Like for the bulk of the scene. I didn't just do here and then find them and then come to here. Instead, I actually cheated down to here, and then it let me cut to find them so that you, as
Very
an audience
effective.
member, because the only thing they're informed with is what you give them. So like when you cheat it that way, when you cheat it that way, that you're here and you're intent, and then you see the thing that you're going to focus all your rage on, and you let your eyes find it first, and then your whole body follows, and you fall into the rest of the thing where all the work's coming from. And I booked that, but I also got notes from casting, like feedback from casting, where they were like, that was creepy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're like,
yeah, it's good to remember too, like those technical, sometimes, I don't know, I feel like you can be dismissive of those, but they're very effective. And especially when you're on self-tape, to think about that.
That's
like,
it. That's what I'm saying. Right? Think about
moving your eyes, and you sometimes don't even whatever, but it's very effective.
Right? Like give yourself that benefit. Yeah. And like if there are 10 other people in the scene that you're talking to, don't make 10 eye lines. If there are 5 other people, don't make 5 eye lines. God. I mean, and we've all had it, and like I learned that by trying to do a tape that way.
Yeah. And it's just stupid.
And then be like, what am I doing? And then you put it together like, there's no way that we would ever do this. Right. And so, have your eye line and have your other eye line, or have your eye line and your other eye line, whatever. But like have 2, maybe a third that you use once, right? Like somebody comes in and out of, like maybe a third that you use once, but you're working all over here, whatever. But because that stuff, present everything to them as though it's in your one shot. Like for those that have worked before,
right?
There's a casting by. There's a documentary from 2012 called Casting By. It talks about casting directors, how they're not, it talks a lot about the casting process. And, John Voight is in it. And he's talking about when he was a young actor, and he had booked Police Squad or something, a TV show. And he was a theater actor, and he booked a TV show, and he booked a guest star, and he's a husband, and his wife has just been killed in the street. Right. And they're loading her into the back of this ambulance, and all the detectives are there, and they're all talking, and they're talking to him. And then he's breaking down, he's so upset, and he has this big monologue that he delivers about it. Right. And in the wide shot, the master shot, he's on a 10, just giving it. And on the pickups for the 2 shot for the 2 stars over here, he's on a 10. And on the pickup for the 2 stars over here, he's on a 10. And on their close-ups, their ones, he's on a 10. And finally, they come around to the guest star, and he's got nothing left to give. He's exhausted emotionally as an actor, because he's been like pouring buckets of pain into his performance and all the wide shots. And he's like, man, save something for yours, Don't do that for your audition. Just, it's all one shots. I'm not saying be in it, but I'm saying like just treat it as if it's all your close-ups, and frame it as if it's all, generally follow the framing instructions, but generally frame it like it's all a medium close.
Right.
Eyeline it like it's a medium close. Play it like it's a medium close, and cheat the rest, and let the performance be what the performance will be. And then forget about it. And when you don't book, and it sucks, hold on to something that, like, I'll hold on to the fact that my son introduced me to that table and said my dad's famous. I'm not. But he thinks I am. Right? Like, because he's so, because he loves me. You know what I mean? Like, because he's my dude. Right? I mean, whatever. Like I'm very fortunate to work. Right? But you know what I'm trying to say, though. But you know what I mean, though. Like that's his perception of me, right? And all I ever do is try to live up to the kind of human being my dog thinks I am. Because my dog thinks I hung the moon, man. My dog thinks,
oh my gosh, that's
I'm the greatest guy ever.
Yeah.
So, like, just try to do that more. Try to live up to that try to live up to that expectation of who you want to be better than yesterday, right? Just do that. Don't live up to the expectations of the Instagram or like what you can take a victory lap for, right? Like hold on to that impact that you had. If Frankie Faison had only had damn shame what you did to that dog, damn shame what they did to that dog line. That's the only thing he'd ever booked. And I was at a restaurant here in Sherman Oaks, and Frankie Faison was my waiter because that had been the only job he had ever booked.
Mm-hmm.
I would have had just as much excitement and joy in my heart as a fan of him for that one line with him as my waiter as I did when I had the opportunity to tell him at Pasadena Playhouse.
Yeah.
Because that's my truth. Because that's the joy he gave me, right?
Yeah.
So like, think about how you can go when you wake up not feeling well. Think about what you can do in that moment from wherever you are, safely, comfortably, to give somebody else a win that day.
Oh, I love that.
And
That's
do
brilliant.
it.
Yeah.
Give somebody a win. Send Leslie Wolf a text and remember a win you got and thank the person that got it for you.
Yeah.
Show gratitude for a win you've had when you've got a loss.
Yeah.
Something like that. And make your bed. Because then you get a win. You finish your day with a win, by the way. If you make your bed every morning when you come home, your bed's made. You're ready to go to bed. Your bed's made. You like get to crawl into it. It's like, woo, what's good, kid? Make your bed. But yeah, try to give somebody else a win and like your day gets better. That's a fact.
I love that. That's
and
so,
all I ever wanted.
No, that's brilliant because that's just a brilliant thing to always go back to think of consciously. Like sometimes I actually thought what you were going to say at one point was when like you're not when you're feeling low or like is to like find something that like you're like you took it like a step further. Like I was thinking like find something in that moment that you're grateful for and like that, that's good too, whatever. But I love actually what you said is like to reach out, no, but like give someone else a win because of course that's like no matter what, that's gonna like, it's beautiful. I love that. That's really,
and it's in your power. It's in your power.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have the power to do that. We don't all, not everyone, I believe this is, I'm going to paraphrase, but I think it's a Martin Luther King quote that I have to paraphrase, but not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great. Because fame is not tangible and requires a huge number of people. Greatness, you just impact one person and and they're like, that guy's the greatest. That person, greatness comes from you. You solely have the ability to deliver joy, to deliver a win, to deliver a kindness, to deliver confidence, to deliver comfort, to deliver a smile to somebody, to deliver a compliment. Find a stranger and say, hey, I like your hat. And don't ask anything of it. And watch how your day goes too, though. And watch how your day goes. Yeah. Because if I hadn't asked my wife out, I wouldn't be married to the greatest woman I've ever met in my life. Yeah. If I hadn't asked her out, you know what I mean? And like, if she hadn't taken a risk and said yes, right? Like, to deliver a win, man. Like, give somebody a win. And like, do it with no expectation of anything in return. Like, think of the thing you're grateful for and then text that person, email that person, handwrite a letter to that person. And also know that it's okay to have bad days too. Yeah. That's so also beautiful. Know that. And like, yeah, exactly. Like exactly. Like if you are, you can still have a bad day. You can, you can still be like, okay, I want to, because sometimes you like, you feel like that. Yeah. Because sometimes you feel that way and you feel like, right. Because when you accept it, you can like let it go. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you try switch, like you try like, why am I like, I have no real reason. Why am I feeling this? Whatever.
and it's like harder work than if you just accept it. Okay,
Right.
this is it. Like,
Yep.
and then let it
Don't
go.
focus on the
Yeah.
bad thoughts. Don't let yourself live in that. Don't do that
Yeah.
either, right? Just accept that today,
Yeah.
accept that you're not waking up today as, this is as everything's sunshine and roses, right? Accept that. Try to send a win to somebody else. Find something you're grateful for and thank somebody for it, or give somebody a win, right? And then take appropriate like inventory of where you are, and don't let yourself mull and drill and forgive yourself. Give yourself that kindness too, to be both, I'm not going to go put on the show today. I need to be gentle and careful with myself today, right? And what the situations I put myself in. But that doesn't mean that I can't give somebody a win. And that doesn't mean that I have to live in guilt or pain or pounding over and over again myself with these negative thoughts, right? Like, it's important not to live in the negative of it as well, while still accepting that it's not going to be your best day. You accept it's not going to be your best day. You choose not to live in the negative of it. You choose to give somebody else a win, and you choose to get on with it in as well and in as much kindness, care, and forgiveness of yourself as possible. And like, we get through the day. And then, you know what? If it's still hurting you, then you call me, or you text me, or you drop it in my Instagram, or I'm serious. And you, or somebody, I mean, I'm, and like, you just want to talk, like, I'm your guy, whatever, like find that person. And even if just to your listeners, to your viewers, like, it could be DM me. If I get it, I'll get it. You know what I mean? And I'll reach out. Like, just do what you can to remember that, like, we're all human beings, and like, it's a part of this ride, it's a part of this whole ride that we're all on. And we just happen to be in an industry that the best in our industry, I firmly believe the best in our industry have an ability to be empathetic, right? An understanding of feeling, while not not always not always the control of it or whatever, right? But like, it's this thing, right? And then we're also in this industry that is constantly like, can feel like it's constantly like, oh, you feel things? Cool. Here, how's that? So like, we're in this industry that's like it's like a double-edged, it's like a perfect storm of that, right? But like, it's easy to feel like that's the case, but it's not. Because for everybody that asks me how I book things or how I do anything, I don't know, right? But I'm happy to answer anything I can, and I always lead with kindness, and like, and then I forgive myself on the ones that we don't get, because like, that's okay too. Because you're not going to get them all. And my son thinks that I'm awesome. So.
And also to appreciate things just for the experience that they are, like, you don't need to book, like, you don't need to, like, from every single thing you work on, you grow, you really do. Like, as you discover about yourself, it's like this like beautiful thing that if you're like growing in this, you're growing as a person. It's like, and it, and like, that's more than enough, to appreciate that. And also, like, isn't it crazy that these like, that these like moments of decision, like when you asked out, like your wife, like that, it's like these split moments sometimes that you acted on, and like where that leads. And it's like, and like this whole thing of reaching out to someone, and it reminds me just recently, I was rehearsing with another actor, and we both know this other actor, and we were like, he should really start a podcast. I don't like that just came up, and we were like, we just texted him. We were like, it was just like lighthearted. Like, we texted him, and it's been a while. Like, how are you? Like, we're together, and we're like thinking of you, and we thought like you should start a podcast. And he ended up responding this whole thing of how like he's been considering doing a podcast, and he has like all these like hang-ups about it and fears, and like it's the craziest timing that we sent that message, and like he wants to, and like it was like the most, for us it was like it was just like, we love him, we should like let's tell him like we thought of him, like just like a spur of the moment, like like up
Love
here, and for him it like hit deep because it was something he actually was thinking of at the time. And when he said, like, when we got that response, we were like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. You really should do it. Yeah. But like, it's
I
just
love you for
beautiful.
that
It's
though, right?
crazy.
It is
Yeah.
beautiful. And that's beautiful. I love that you did that. And that's like, it takes an extra 3 seconds of your day. And then listen, like if somebody texts you back and like they want to get into a conversation and you don't have time, it's okay to say, I only had a minute and I really am so glad and I really do want to catch up. I've got to go back to my day now. You know what I mean? That's okay too, to tell people that, to be like, I love you so much and I really do want to catch up. We were thinking about you. You came up, wanted you to know that, got to get back to this rehearsal. Can we catch up? You know, but because that people understand that too, right? And so like, I love that you did it. Like it takes, you're right too. I mean, I almost chickened out, asking my wife out. I mean, like,
that's funny too,
like when you
right?
think about,
Like, okay, so like sometimes you have that moment of like, and it's like you're on a high because you're excited about it. And it's like this like moment of inspiration or whatever. And then though, sometimes you have like that pull away, like that, like, it's like you feel it and you're like physically like, oh, I don't want to, whatever. And it's like, it's like, it's interesting that, you know?
So, yeah. And so one of the things that you have to like, who are you really mad at?
Mm.
Who's pulling you away? Because you can't let fear be what drives you. You can't let fear be the one making decisions for you. But if something in you doesn't feel right about something and you can't put your finger on it, don't get in that car. Don't go out with your friends don't do that. Don't do that, right? Don't go to that meeting in that room with that thing, right? Don't do that. If something inside of you, don't let fear be don't be like, oh, I might not do well. But don't let fear be what drives you, but also let your instinctive, let what I call hinky, let that protect you at the same time. And interestingly enough, you can ask anybody who knows me well, if you're ever in one of those situations, you can call me too, because I'll go. And whoever was waiting on the other side of the room will regret it. So I have a funny set of skills. So, you know what I mean? So like you'd ask Leslie Wolf about that. But like, but don't let it protect you, but don't let it drive you. Don't let fear drive you.
Exactly.
And
it's
let you miss opportunities.
Yeah. Like, no, it's like, I don't know. It's crazy what we like this like instinct we all have, you know, like instinct, like really, it could lead you every which way, you know, like don't do that, do that. Right. Don't do that, do that. And it's like, it's crazy.
But look at, because see, being brave is not being scared.
Yeah.
Courage and bravery is not the absence of fear. It is the recognition of it and the willingness to overcome it to accomplish what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Don't let, I wasn't going to let being embarrassment of telling Frankie Faison, I keep simplifying. It just happened on Sunday, and it was 10 seconds. So like it's
and everything's
I recognize that I'm dwindling it down to the simplest, but it is down to the simplest, right? But like I could have, and I did. There was a blink of like,
right? There's like a moment.
That's weird. Why would you do that? I was like, yeah, but no, because I have to thank him. And then my friend who was with me, Reese, was like, man, I mean, like, what if like you really will just go over to your heroes and tell them that, huh? And I was like, well, I mean, like, and he said something like, what if he was a jerk to you or something? He wasn't, but Reese was like, man, that's, what if he had been a jerk? Wouldn't that have, like, yeah, but like we're all human beings, and like now's, that's out of the lane of expectation of where he is, and I don't know him, so I've got to give him a pass on that. It doesn't mean that the line didn't bring me 35 years of joy, and it doesn't mean that I can't tell Trevor that I saw Frankie Faison, but didn't tell him that line puts me in the ground.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if he's having a bad day, if his response or reaction to it isn't great, if he's not, which it was amazing. Get a load of that, like whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, how the hell for that, right? Even if that weren't the case, which it was, but even if that weren't, at least I'm the guy that said it. Like, I'd rather be the person that told somebody they gave me joy and not get, he doesn't owe me anything. I owe him. He says a line that flat puts me in the ground, Jenna. If he was my server at Casa Vega, I would be like, do you guys know who this guy is? I would start a slow clap, girl. I would like lose my mind telling everybody at that restaurant. You know what I mean? So like, who am I not to have the courage for someone who gave me that much joy? Who am I not to have the courage to take 10 seconds of his time respectfully in the right situation, which it all was, and say, pardon me, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Yeah. My name's Bourke Floyd. In and out. Who am I not to do that? I owe him. I owe him. Damn shame what they did to that dog. Come on, man.
Yeah. And I love thinking of that too, That thinking of it that way as well.
Yeah, you got invited to an audition. Who are you to be like, I'll never book that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And maybe you won't. Maybe you won't. Maybe you won't, right? If you don't submit, you definitely won't, first of all. Second of all, how's a casting director supposed to get to know you if you're not, when they invite you, you don't submit? Second of all. How are they supposed to get to trust you when they invite you and you don't submit and they don't see a pattern of consistency? Because consistency of small steps is the only way to get anywhere. You don't get to the top of the ladder keeping your foot on the bottom rung. It might be safer, but you'll never get to the top. Okay?
Yeah.
So like, who are you not to submit? Who are you not to submit when they invite you to? And who are you to decide? Because it says the person's 35 and I'm not 35. I shouldn't submit. You got invited. Submit.
Yeah. All the stupid things they come up with. Yeah. All the,
I mean, yeah, but you're right. Like it's like they're all human beings, right? So it's all interpretation and it's all open to being changed. And like, as you're invited in, maybe that's changed. Maybe it's a romantic couple and they want to actually pair people. And so they're going to see a swath of both of those ages and find that, right? Like, you don't know.
You don't know, right?
And it doesn't matter because you got invited to the party.
Right.
That's what they don't, right? So dare them not to cast you. Dare them not to cast you.
Yeah.
Deliver it, own it, be in it, sell it, nail it, send it and forget it. But in that moment, flat challenge them to find somebody else that does it better.
Yes, I love that.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And then forget about it. And then when they do find somebody, don't go pick it apart and be like, it's because I wasn't. Relax, man. Take it easy. Come on, take it easy. Everything's fine. You know what I mean? Like, let's not. Nobody's at you. You're not. Listen. Like, chill out. And you got to tell yourself that. I'm talking to you right now, Jenna. I'm also through you talking to your viewers and your listeners. But guess what? I'm also talking to myself, by the way. So like, I don't want any of your viewers to see this and think I'm on a soapbox preaching at them. I'm saying like these are things I remind myself.
It's very good. Yeah.
That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I do it too.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, like another way to think of it that I just thought of from listening to you is like, anytime you feel kind of like anxious or like, like, am I, whatever, like any like doubts, you can also just maybe accept that anything that's come into your presence, you are meant to be in that exact spot, like in point of time, and just take that as like a baseline. Like you were invited to the audition, you're here, even a thought, like you had the thought to go talk and say like, I love this line. Like even that thought came to you, you were meant to, okay, this is something I'm meant to do, and to take that as a baseline. And then at the end of the day, nothing's like such a big deal. This stuff is so stupid. Like when you really think of it, to just like get over yourself. I sometimes think that too. I'm like, I'm like, okay, I've already overthought this like too much. I've already spent time overthinking it. Just make the decision now and just like do it.
Yep.
And if anything, you can laugh at yourself, like that was horrendous, whatever.
Man,
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So I will tell you. Recently, I love my agents. I love my agents. I'm so fortunate to have the team that I have. Okay, I probably shouldn't tell this, but it's just too good. I won't say the name of the project or anything. She sent me this great role. I mean, a great role, like really, really good. And I was shocked that they were seeing me for it. And that's both a part of me practicing humility and gratitude, which is important to practice, and a genuine, also like a truth of like, wow, that's of a recognition of how far we've been able to build this career that they're seeing me for it. You know what I mean? So, as humbly as I could say it, I was still like, I can't, that's crazy. Wow. That's crazy. But he had to have a French accent. And I can't do a French accent. And I took French. And I cannot do a French accent. Like, I can do French in a French accent. I cannot do English in a French accent.
Okay.
I speak French.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's amazing. Fluently.
I can't do, I mean, conversationally, yeah.
Enough.
Like, I'm very competent in my French.
Okay.
I can't, apparently, I've never tried to do English in a French accent. And my wife, who's trying to do the reading with me, at one point, I see her just going like, you know what I mean? Like, out of my periph, I see her like, what's going on? And I'm like, it's not good, is it? She's like, well, it's not French. So I had to call my agent and be like, I can't believe that I got to tell you, like, I can send them the worst. It'd be like somebody asking me, I do a very authentic South Irish accent, very authentic. It'd be like somebody asking for an Irish accent and giving them the Lucky Charms guy. Do you know what I mean? Where they'd be like, what kind of cartoon hell is this guy living in? Where is this guy from? Like Mars, Ireland? It was so bad, Jenna. And I had to own it that like, I don't feel comfortable. I will do it. You tell me to do it and I will do it. I'm not coming from a place of fear of embarrassing myself. I'm telling you, it is like, know it. You're just and I've been working it for 2 days and it is getting worse. It's not getting better.
I've had this kind of experience.
It's so bad. It's so tragically bad. It's Hindenburg bad. It's bad. And my agent was like laughing with me, which is when you know that you have a great agent.
Yeah.
She was laughing with me like, it's okay. I'll tell them, you know what? And I love that I did it in French. I actually like had the first, like, this dude talked, I'm perfect typecasting because I talk a lot too, but I did like the first 5 lines of it, just reading it. It was written in English, but I was translating it to French and speaking it in French and it was fluent and sounded like an authentic French accent. Yeah, just for her. And I was like, look, I mean, if they want it in French, I could drill it in French. Like, don't worry about it. I'll conjugate the hell out of it. I got you. But like, I cannot do. And she was like, do it for me in English with the accent one time. And I was like, I'm not going to. She's like, come on. I was like, no. And she's like, please. Like, let me just hear it once. And so I did like the first line and she was crying. She was just laughing so hard at me, with me. But you know what I mean? Just like, that's so bad. But she was like, but it's fun because they're going to be fine with it. They're going to love that I'm going to tell them what just happened. I'm going to tell them, he did it. He spoke it to me in French, like right there off the cuff. Just he's fluent, but like, oh girls, you don't want to hear him try his French accent on English. So like, I'm just saying, like, give yourself a break and find the humor.
Right.
Like you said, find the funny in it. Just laugh at it and be like, we're not curing cancer here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? God, I wish we were, by the way, right? Wouldn't that be dope? Wouldn't that be rad? But what we could be doing is giving a slight break, some joy, somewhere else to go for those people that are battling things that are as serious and as real and as painful and as stressful as cancer and poverty, tragedy, human suffering, right? We can give some people a brief sojourn, an exodus from that, from a momentary exodus from it. And like in that is like where we need to remember that the arts are so incredibly important and need to be practiced and gifted to our kids. You know what I mean? And make your kids listen to like the music that you loved coming up and the music that your parents loved coming up and even the classical stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like have them, immerse them in that in all ways, and especially in Hall & Oates, because everybody knows Hall & Oates is the best band ever, right, Jenna? No? All right. Well, they are for me. No, but anyway, but so, yeah, that's enough of that from me.
Ugh, I love that. Also, so wait, you ended up turning that one down because of the accent, or did you like send something?
Yeah. No. I told her, can you reach out to them, please? Because I still had plenty of time on the deadline.
Okay.
Can you reach out to them, please? Can you let them know exactly the situation, honestly? Because I have French on my resume on special skills or whatever, or, and it's not like on, fortunately, again, like there are, as you climb the ladder, there are things you don't have to have on like paper anymore, but like, my agent has it in the notes that I'm fluent in French, and like they have it in the notes that I nail an Irish accent. So like, those are benefits for when they're pitching and when stuff comes through, but like, please let them know that's not, I'm not Joey from Friends. It's not that I don't speak French. It's that I've never tried to do a French accent on English. And it's like, I don't know. It's so weird because I just can't do it. I cannot. I'll tell you, Jenna, it got worse. It did not get better.
Yeah.
I mean, like hard. It was laughably bad.
Yeah, it's making me like feel like cringe because I know the experience of like work, like like I've done that. You know what I mean? Like I've had that sort of thing too before. Like the more you like
100%.
work, because sometimes if you work on like for the accents you have like I don't know, but like sometimes the more you like deliberately work on like the technical things, you're too focused on it and it becomes like bad. You have to like let it go. But if you have like auditions and it's a whole new accent, you need like 2 days. Like I think I had to do like a Brazilian accent, and it wasn't just like, I don't know, like it's not just like Hispanic, and it's not just like, and like the specificity of that, I think so it makes me cringe hearing because I know it resonates with me. I'm like and like and you want to like work harder, right? And you can't work harder.
Yes, like I mean, Jenna, I drilled on this thing, man. I drilled on it, and I was like, this is just getting worse. I mean, this is not getting better. You're right. Like I was getting the emphasis on the wrong syllable towards the end of it. It wasn't French. It wasn't English. It was like, needing to knock at a blind gobbledygook. I mean, it was getting bad. It was getting real bad. Yeah. So, but I did put in the effort, and, I did convey it honestly. And so they appreciated the honesty on it, and they all had a good laugh. Not at my expense, with me. Right. They had and also like that's another way to look at it. Never think that somebody's laughing at your expense, right? Think that you you bought that round to laugh. You didn't take it from me. I bought that round for you. Like if somebody's laughing at you because you look silly, because you tripped, because you did something that you didn't do it well, or because of whatever, you're welcome. Yeah. No sweat. That round of laughter's on me. I'll get it. You get the next round, but that round's on me because nobody gets to laugh at me. I don't take myself seriously enough to be laughed at. Yeah.
I love
And
that
like, I think
phrasing,
that's important.
that round.
You
Sorry, I
know?
love how you said
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that
Yeah.
round. Yeah, that's not at my expense. It's on me.
Yeah.
I'm happy to buy it. I'm happy to treat for that round of laughter. You guys win. Good. That's on me. I just don't, anyway, right? Like, all of these things are great in practice, and they take time, and they take me time, and I think about them, and I focus on them, and I just try to stay focused on that part of my journey. And like, that's how I get where I get. And then the rest of it is just do the best you can for other people around you, and don't look for anything in return. And like, that's all you can do. Just try to be the kind of human your dog thinks you are.
Yes. I love that. I love everything you've said. Really. You've had, such wisdom and like such beauty and like so many things I can already, like, I could talk to you for so much longer, but it's like over time completely. But thank you so much
we
for
had this
doing
time.
this.
Thank you so much for having me on. Please keep in touch too, right? Like, let me know anything that's going on. I can't wait to hear and follow your journey and all of that. And thanks to everybody listening too and watching. Like, I'm so honored that Jenna would have me, that you would have me as a guest, and give me an opportunity to learn more about you and your fans and the people that watch you. It's so cool. So thanks.
Burke, where can our listeners find you, and what upcoming projects do you have? Like, where can they see your work?
Well, thanks for asking, Jenna. No, my Instagram is Bourke_Floyd. That's BOURKE_FLOYD. And I just had a movie, The Locksmith, that is available on Apple TV with Ryan Philippe, Ving Rhames, Kate Bosworth, myself, Noel G. What's up, G? It's a great movie. Nicholas Harvard directed, a really great thriller. And then Waco, American Tragedies, Waco, The Trials, premieres April 16th on Showtime on Linear on the Showtime network, and then streaming the following day on Showtime. Also will be available Apple TV, Amazon, all of the above. So that's with Michael Shannon, John Leguizamo, Giovanni Ribisi. I've got great friends on that as well. Eric Esparza, Mark Spino's in that. He's a series regular in that. It's just a great show. I'm really excited to be a part of that. So Mimi Fletcher, Mimi Fletcher kills it in that too. So it's really great.
Incredible. And I love your work. Like, just, go see these films, and I go watch all of Burke's work, really, wow, like, there's so much out there, so there's so much to watch. But thank you so much again. I love talking to you. You're so kind, and
thank you so much for having me.
So easy to talk to. So thank you.
I really appreciate you for having me. Thanks so much, Jenna. See you guys later.